Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today we'll be reviewing the Juan Peña Anaerobic Natural Processed Ecuador from Cat & Cloud Coffee. And there's the bag right there. Cat & Cloud's iconic turquoise bags. Alright, so Cat & Cloud, based out of Santa Cruz, California. This is their first time being featured on this channel, and for anyone that may not know, this is the coffee company of popular coffee YouTuber Chris, as he co-founded and co-owns this coffee company with a couple of other ex-Verve employees. And I'm going to include an article from Sprudge I was featured back in 2016 about Cat & Cloud when they opened their first cafe to provide just a little bit more information about them and the business, as it does a great job of explaining Cat & Cloud in greater detail than I probably ever could on this channel, as I have some familiarity with this coffee company, but not too much familiarity. This coffee specifically came about when I was browsing their website after a discussion with a subscriber, and having had the Juan Peña from Sweet Bloom earlier this year, which was probably one of my least favorite coffees, this one sounded really enticing. They have listed on here Fruity Pebbles and Skittles as their flavor notes, which was very different from what I'd had with the Sweet Bloom. So I wanted to give it a shot, see how it compared. So I'm probably going to be discussing the Juan Peña from Sweet Bloom quite a bit throughout this video as well. This right here is day 16 of this coffee. All right, let's get the recipe out of the way. So they do have a slight brew guide on their website, and what I liked best when brewing it through the Chemex was a 16:1 water to coffee ratio at 200 degrees Fahrenheit. That being said, I brewed it today through the automatic coffee maker and like it better through the automatic coffee maker. And that could be because, just like with the Sweet Bloom Juan Peña, it was roasted slightly darker than most of the coffees that Sweet Bloom does. And I feel like that was the case with this Cat & Cloud coffee as well. So both of those companies are light mediums Americans, but these are both on the slightly darker side of that. And again, I think the bean just kind of yields itself to that. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's start discussing the coffee itself. So day 5 was the first impression I had of this coffee, and brewed standard recipe through the Chemex and did not necessarily love it. As mentioned, the Sweet Bloom Juan Peña wasn't our favorite, so this one right here, being a pretty acidic and wine-like coffee, did not leave the most positive first impression. And the Sweet Bloom coffee, wine, blackberry, chocolate, those were pretty much the 3 flavor notes. They were all pretty intense, and that's the first couple of days we got of that. Day 6 was pretty much the same, an abundance of candy and citrus sweetness as well in the background, just like the Sweet Bloom coffee, which had this kind of hidden lingering sweetness to it, but still not our favorite. Day 8, definitely more in line with the winey acidity and darker chocolate. Then, yeah, that's just the way it was, a vibrant and lively acidity still very much in the cup. Day 11 was the best day of the coffee we had had to that point, as we had adjusted the ratio to 16:1. Did 205 degrees. The acidity died down ever so slightly, and that probably has to say that giving it a little bit more time as the recipe wasn't adjusted too much did help, and we've kind of noticed that in the last couple of days as the coffee has kind of toned down ever so slightly. It was really intense. This coffee was really intense from the start, and getting it to kind of die down just ever so slightly really helped out. I'm still pretty winey though, truth be told. And day 14 lowered the temperature, and the coffee still remained pretty winey and pretty chocolatey, but it was still better. And we're kind of repeating ourselves a lot on a lot of these days because the coffee was really consistent. It was those reoccurring flavor notes. But that being said, day 15, we did get this kind of maybe one-off slight, what you might describe as a tropical Skittle, as it was kind of coconutty. So it's a little bit of a stretch, but we could see the Skittles. Definitely at no point would we ever say we saw the Fruity Pebbles. But brewing it through the automatic coffee maker, all right, it's a lot better through the automatic coffee maker. So lesson learned, and we say this a lot of the time when there are coffees that we struggle with through the Chemex. Sometimes you need to just abandon your favorite brew method in favor of another brew method, as this coffee is much better through the automatic coffee maker. Significantly better. It's not as overly winey, and you're getting some nice fruit notes, much better fruit notes from this coffee through the automatic coffee maker. So going back, if we could suggest a brew method, go with the automatic coffee maker, or maybe even an AeroPress. All right, let's go ahead and put up the tasting wheel so you can see what we are getting. And what I'm looking at right here is both tasting wheels from the Sweet Bloom Juan Peña as well as the Cat & Cloud Juan Peña, and they are near identical. Almost all of these categories are the exact same. The acidity, the bitterness, and the smokiness are 1 point higher for the Cat & Cloud coffee, and the caramel is 1 point higher for the Sweet Bloom coffee, but other than that, they are the exact same tasting wheel. Oh, and the spice, there was a slight bit of spice from the Sweet Bloom coffee. But other than that, they're the exact same tasting wheel. The coffees were almost identical. If you would have served me these two coffees and said which one's a Cat and Cloud and which one's a Sweet Bloom, I would have had almost an impossible time figuring them out, as they were very, very similar. Yeah. Overall thoughts and impressions of this coffee. I mean, I didn't love the Sweet Bloom Juan Peña, and I didn't love this one, and I think I just don't love the natural processed, anaerobic natural processed Juan Peña in general. I think it's just a little too intense. It's a little too whiny for me. And it probably did not help that I was brewing it through the Chemex for both of these coffees until, the very end. I was trying to get them right through the Chemex, but this coffee probably just, it's not made for the Chemex, truth be told, at least in my opinion anyway. I do like Cat and Cloud, always liked Cat and Cloud. They're one of my more favorite coffee roasters out of California, so I'll go back and try something else from them, something that might not be the flavor profile that I don't like at all, and give them another assessment, another review. But for this coffee right here, not my favorite. The type of person I would suggest this coffee to is anybody that maybe tried and loved the Sweet Bloom Juan Peña. This is a great coffee that's just in line with that. And again, if you do like the wine flavor notes, not a big wine person, if you do like the kind of darker chocolate, then it's good through the Chemex. Other than that, brewed through the automatic coffee maker, it's kind of, it still has that, don't get me wrong, it's not like it completely disappeared altogether, but you are getting some nicer fruity notes, probably a little bit of these citrus fruits. Yeah, still quite a bit of that blackberry too, and some tropical fruits, maybe tropical Skittles, ever so slightly, if you're really convinced yourself. But I think I'm going to leave it at that, so if you by chance tried any of the Juan Peñas, I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions of them, even the washed ones. I have looked at some washed Juan Peñas, and I've been curious about those as well. If you're enjoying the content, give this video a like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. But this right here has been a review of the Juan Peña Anaerobic Natural Processed Ecuador from Cat and Cloud Coffee. Thank you for watching.